this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, shall we call the roll?
Yes, and I'll let everyone know that Director Gould is going to indicate his answers by raising his hand. So I'll begin with Director Gould. Are you here? Wonderful. Director Rosali, good to see you. Director Wood, good to see you. Director Sheets. Director Kelly. Hello, Director Kelly. Director
I'm here.
Jones. Wonderful, and we can hear you. Director White.
Present.
Clark.
Present.
And Director Saylors, turning it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, let's do the pledge to the flag. Director Wood, would you lead us in that, please?
Pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for cablecast on Metro Cable 14. Replayed on Monday, March 28th at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, March 30th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net. We now have the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
There were no speakers who filled out beforehand. Art, if you could unmute our attendees and give them the chance to speak if they so wish.
Yes, attendees, you now have the ability to unmute yourselves if there's anything you'd like to present to the board at this time. No response.
Thank you, Art. Moving on now to the consent items.
Madam Chair, I move consent.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any? I guess not. Shall we call the roll, please?
Director Gould.
I see his hand.
Orzali.
Present.
Wood.
Aye. Present, yes, sorry.
Sheets. Kelly.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next item is presentation item number 1, service delivery. Assistant Chief of Training John Rudnicki and firefighter Michael Gildon.
Hello, Board, Chief. My name is John Rudnicki. I'm honored to serve as Assistant Chief overseeing training, health, and safety.
And I'm Mike Gildon. I'm a firefighter paramedic at Truck on the 6th on Sea Shift. I'm also a shop steward with Local 522.
So tonight we're here to talk about service delivery and a project that Mike and I are working on with the membership and with Metro Fire. So Mike and I, both representing the district and labor, we're co-chairing a team, and this team has been tasked with looking at service delivery at Metro Fire. So as we prepared this program and this team, we asked ourselves, what is service delivery and what do we do? And so we're really focused on our operational deployment model and operationally how we provide service. So Mike and I were talking a lot about the calls that we all go on, the fires and EMS calls and things like that. And really collaborating on the extra things we do as a district and the calls where our members go above and beyond. And we're in the positions to really serve the public. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at what we do well and where we might find opportunities to improve. similar to what maybe a business or another organization might do, like a SWOT analysis.
Recording in progress.
Where they're identifying their strengths and their weaknesses and looking for opportunities for improvement.
So from our point of view, it's kind of like the conversations we have every day at the firehouse, at the coffee table or at the dinner table. Well, what if we did things this way, or what if we did it that way? Could we improve it with this idea or that idea? And we've been officially asked to have a seat at the table to do that for real instead of just at the coffee table. So we're very excited to be at the table to do that. And we appreciate the opportunity.
So with that, we recognize that we're in an interesting place in our history. Metro Fire being established in 2000 with a lot of predecessor agencies. We're at a great place where we provide a great service, and it's because of the men and women and all the effort that have gone into getting us to where we are and for our current deployment model. So with that in mind, we formulated a team, and we've invited membership operationally, professional staff, management, anybody who wants to participate to help us look at our operational service delivery model and find some of those opportunities. So what we've done so far is we hosted a meeting where we were able to hear some of those concerns. So similar to what Mike alluded to, of all the different ideas that are out there and what's on people's minds and what's their perspective, because theirs is much different than ours. And people see the district from a lot of different ways, and they see the wins we have, but also identify some areas where we might be able to improve.
One good example, you guys have been dealing a lot recently with medic surge plans and medic surge contracts. Hopefully we can address that through this team. It's something that we can take a look at. How can we fix that in-house as opposed to having to subcontract that out? So that's just one good example of our ability to hopefully address one of those types of issues. Not that to say that everything we do is wrong, but there are definitely places to improve, just like everything in our lives.
So our team has a couple goals in front of us, and one being the safer physicians. We've been fortunate enough to receive the SAFER grant, and we know right now we're training those 21 firefighters that we're fortunate to get to join our team, and they're 4 weeks into their academy. So this team's first task is we're going to look at what makes the most sense for where they go and how we best utilize them to serve the public. The second objective is we're going to also develop a 5-year plan. And what that is we're going to look at what would a recommendation be for the ultimate service delivery, or where we could improve, and look at it over the next 5 years and say, if we know in 5 years we make the recommendation that we should be at this point X, and here's where we're at, then what does that look like in a timeline? What steps do we need to make to get there? So the whole process, both the SAFER grant deployment as well as the 5-year plan, we're looking at operationally, and we're going to make a recommendation to both Chief Mitchell and Chief Arms on here's what we've come up with. We've looked through the data, we've looked at all the call history, the hour utilization of our crews, the increased call volume, where our station locations are, all of it, and come up with the best recommendation we can.
And as we get to that place of what does it look like 5 years from now, our hope is that we can identify actionable items from now until 5 years. So within the first few months, we're going to look at the SAFER grant. Within the first 6 months, hopefully we can identify some other quick steps that we can take to alleviate some of the issues that we have within the district, like our medic surge problems and those types of things.
So to be honest with you, Mike and I, when we first were tasked with this, we recognize this is an exciting opportunity, and the timing is phenomenal. But with that being said, there's a lot of work, and we've been fortunate enough to have a lot of members and people part of Metro Fire volunteer and raise their hand to say they want to be part of it. So the way we're doing that is we're dividing the workload, and we have a team focused on the ambulances and the EMS side, as well as a group looking at suppression, the engines, the trucks, the VCs, and that category, as well as the third being special operations. So everything under special ops, from the helicopter and the dozer and the boat, of just let's look at the data, let's look at our deployment model now, and if there's room for improvement. So again, it comes back to our why. Why would we do this? we want to improve service, and we know that our number one priority is to provide that service, and that's why we all signed up to be here. And if we can find a small change, a small improvement, or make that small recommendation, then it's worth all this effort to that member of the public who might get that call a little faster or receive that extra service that we want to provide. So that's our plan, and that's our goal and our mission to do that. And in summary, we're gonna work hard and diligently to dig into all the data, make a recommendation, and see what comes to fruition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I follow up real quick?
Go ahead, Chief.
So I just want to thank both John and Mike that they volunteered for this job, or we kind of lined them up for it. But, you know, as an organization and the size of our organization, and then if you look at just this last 2 years, the ability for everybody as the membership to put into where is our future at. And of course, there's going to be things that we can do, and there may be things that we would like to do, but we're not able to do them for whatever constraint. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard me say before is that I'm big on plans and writing out where do we want to be in the next 5 years. But as we go along, we have the ability to adapt and change according to what's happening. But everybody's on the same page then, is that this was the original plan, and we may take a left turn or a right turn as we go along. But at least we have a plan, we have a roadmap, we know where we are and where we want to be on the other side. So for me as the fire chief, I think it's really exciting to take what we do, service delivery, throw it out on the table and say, okay, we do this very well every day. We know of challenges in the future that are coming up. We know change will happen. Let's be the people that drive that, and let's see what we can solve as an organization. If sometimes when you look at it, if we don't change or we don't adapt, other people will make us. So we want to really lay out our future for us and for all of you as the board members move forward. So I think it's exciting. I thought the first meeting was really good, well attended, just a lot of feedback from that meeting, either at the meeting or afterwards. And so timing wise, we're finally at a place that we can do that again, and we can get together. I look forward to really seeing first what we're recommendations for the safer positions, and then after that, as a district, laying out what we look like for the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would just like to make a comment that I really appreciate that you guys have stepped up and taken this on. And I really like the fact that the brainstorming is coming from the actual people in the field, the guys and gals that are actually doing the job, because you're the ones that are living the experience, and you're the ones that are coming up with the ideas. And that to me means a lot. And I don't know if any of our other directors out there have any comments or questions.
No, I think to your point, I think it's great to have the frontline staff who are actually the ones doing the work, being able to give a perspective that sometimes when you are removed and out of that, you don't see that perspective. So I think it's extremely important to get, the input from the frontline staff, but also, the more people that you can get to contribute to the ideas, they're more likely to support and continue to make it successful. So I think that's really, really great. It's a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Jones, you have a comment?
Thank you. Yes, great to hear ditto from my fellow directors. And I'm wondering, I realize it's just the beginning, it's a brainstorm level, nothing's in concrete. Could you give all of us just an example or two of a potential change or a potential thing to put on the table?
Well, we're happy to share some ideas and thoughts that Mike alluded to that we hear. And our imagination is the only limitation right now. But, what we're really looking at is external customer service first, so serving the public, and internally, what kind of impact and positive impact that can have on our working conditions and things like that. So with our safer positions coming, obviously this is a phenomenal opportunity to identify where they can help and where they can relieve, not only number one, reducing maybe that response time to a member in the community, but also being in an area that's busy, and we know our ambulances are running a lot of calls and that UHUs are very high, and maybe they'll be in the position to take that extra call. So it's not only serving the community, but it's also taking that one call from the busiest of medics. So that might be an example where we can find an opportunity to improve.
Well, that's an excellent example, and we all wish ourselves the best of luck and help to complete some of these things. Thank you.
Another good example is taking a really hard look at the single rule program. I think we've recognized for a long time that something has to happen there, whether it's left or right, and we can all decipher what that is. But I think the fire chief, we had a meeting yesterday discussing how can we properly support that program, and are we going to do that? How does that look compensation-wise? How does that look limited terms and all these things? Rebuilding that program is one really good thing that could come out of this team. So like Chief said, everything's on the table. The sky's the limit as far as our imaginations go. And from our perspective, getting those units on the street will just help us exponentially get to our calls in a more appropriate manner. Get our guys that are needing training because they're not running calls, 20 hours a day, those types of things related to the UHU. So those are the types of opportunities that I'm excited about, because at the end of the day, we do get to those calls in a more appropriate time. We do have better trained personnel on the ground, and we do make this place a more attractive place to work for serve groups. And those are all challenges that we talk about every day at the firehouse, and it's challenges that you guys have been talking about for the last 2 years. So we appreciate the support and at least being able to have that conversation on an official level, open the doors to talk to the people that have the information, and that we can really bear it all out in the data like the chief likes to see. So that's where we're at.
If I might add one last comment, I think Mike makes a really good point that's important to recognize is this joint collaboration. And we recognize sometimes we don't have all the facts. And the membership and those that are participating, they recognize that too. And the group and the team is hungry for that information, and really to recognize what our perception is and what maybe some reality is. And so we're really excited to look at that together and really just lay it out there. So again, thank you for your time and your comments. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. You're welcome. All right, our next item, action item number 1, nomination of a special districts representative for the Sacramento County Treasury Oversight Committee. Board Clerk Pania.
Good evening, directors.
Good evening.
Before you this evening, we have the opportunity to nominate a special district representative to the Sacramento County Treasury Oversight Committee. Sacramento County reached out to us with this position. It's a position they've had for a long time, and Metro Fire has previously served in this seat. So they are currently looking for the term to expire on June 30th, 2022. The nominees do need to meet a certain number of requirements, and they also need to have a specific financial related background. Nominations are currently due on April 1st, 2022, and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. And then before you tonight, you would have the opportunity to nominate someone for this position.
Thank you very much. It is my understanding that CFO O'Toole has expressed an interest in this position. Is that correct?
Yes, when asked if he would like to put in for the nomination, he was very excited for the opportunity, and he has expressed to staff that that is something he would be interested in doing. And he's in the audience tonight nodding for the 2 board members who are on Zoom.
Perfect. Does anyone and directors have any questions?
No, Madam President, I would like to nominate CFO O'Toole for our nomination to Treasury Oversight. And my recollection is traditionally it has been our Chief Financial Officer who has represented Metro, and I'm looking forward to Mr. O'Toole continuing on that success pattern. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Director Gould.
I see his hand.
there. Director Orzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets. Kelly.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next item, number 2, is the ratification of resolution to extend the teleconference of board meetings, Government Code 54953E3. So this is once again to continue to allow us to have that teleconference so that we can have members out there in the Zoom meetings and we can still have our meetings in person. Are there any questions on this? If not, I'll entertain a motion and a second.
Madam Chair, I move that we extend our resolution on teleconference of board meetings.
I'll second.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will you call the roll, please?
Director Gould
I see his hand.
and Director Orzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next item, we will, after we discuss in closed session. We will deal with that. Now for reports. President's report, I have none. Fire chief's report.
Good evening, directors. On each of you, you have a challenge coin that was given to all of us. It represents the 50th California Fire Mechanics Academy. This week, Metro Fire hosted the academy. This is the first time in 2 years that they've been able to have it. So it was back here and a number of sites. The place was filled up with folks, and it's one of the few areas when you look at the region up here that the mechanics that work on all of our apparatus were able to come and get classes on everything from drivetrains to electrical systems to pumps. Then this afternoon they had a kind of a show and tell or a little bit of a vendor area over at the Sheraton. So a part of their appreciation to each of you for allowing us to host that is a challenge coin. And as it says on there, 50 years of it. So again, it's a great program, and it also allowed our members that are our mechanics to attend those things. Again, I'd like to thank both John and Mike for being here tonight and for presenting and for really pushing the district as we move forward with the service delivery meeting and a little bit of update on those things there. Updates for you. A lot of my focus over the last 2 weeks has been about the Zinfandel training facility, looking for support in the project as we move forward, working with both our community leaders and elected leaders for possible funding opportunities for the Zinfandel training facility. We had a 2x2 meeting with Sac County. I would say that over the years, it has become a very successful meeting. Director Woods and Director Jones were on there, and I'll let you guys talk more about it during your reports. But if you remember a few years ago, we were able to sit down and start to build that relationship. And we had very, very long agendas of items that had not been taken care of. And nowadays, it's neat to see the supervisors there, and especially with Ann Edwards now as the CEO over there, being able to have those lines of communications with them. We had a labor management meeting that was hosted at the Labor Union Hall yesterday. There was just a very long items or a long list of items. I think we started at noon and finally had to cut it off at 9 o'clock, or we started at 9 and cut it off at 9 to midnight, but no. But we were able to do that. And again, those meetings I think are just so key for being able to have open discussions and conversations. I've been meeting with our regional chiefs, and then today we had a prep for our meeting next week with Citrus Heights on another 2x2. One of the other items that continues to go forward is the work with our area CEOs at the hospitals and what we call wall time or APOT. They canceled one of our meetings. We had 2 meetings scheduled for this week. They canceled one of them because of a conflict on their side. We have what is called wall medics, which are paramedics that were brought in by the state that have been on the wall for the last 2 months. We have definitely seen an impact on our wall times going down. We do have concerns is that at the end of the month, the funding for those positions go away. And we have been trying to work with the hospitals on, as the funding goes away, if we see another surge, as we see flu come back, the ability to make sure that our ambulance are able to get to the hospital within a 20-minute time frame, drop off patients, and then get back in service again. The other part of that is the state. I sit on the state. There's 16 of us that sit on the state committee, which are writing guidelines to be moved forward through the legislative process or through IMSA on what the future of APOT times are. We meet every week for 1 hour. I think there is 20 recommendations. Our committee has to have those done by the end of June. At this point, we have reviewed 2 of them. And the director from IMSA runs those meetings, and she runs a very tight meeting. And I believe we will have those done and the recommendations moving forward by the end of June. The last thing is just March 20th, which was Sunday, was the 1-year anniversary of the death of Kyle Rutherford. And so I know that for the membership that is here, this has been a very difficult year, but what an incredible difficult year it was on Kyle's family during that time. I asked tonight at the end of our board meeting if we could have a moment of silence in recognition of Kyle and his family in this past year. That ends my report unless you have any questions.
Well, thank you. Next, operations report.
Twice in a night. This is great for me. I'm excited.
Nice to see you again.
Lines right up with service delivery.
There you go.
So operations. So first, some statistics from our last board meeting. We've responded to a total of 3,700 incidents, with 71% of those being EMS calls. So a little, just a slight downtick from the last time Chief Mitchell reported to you. With those calls, 108 of those were fire incidents. So we're averaging just around 7.7 calls per day. Next update is the Academy. So this one's near and dear to my heart. So we're just finishing up week 4 out at the Academy. 44 recruits out there are doing well. With the increase in weather this week, a little more acclimating to that. And so all reports are good out of the Academy. EMS has had a lot of updates and a lot of work by Chief Law and her staff. The training, every year in the month of March, we do spring training that all paramedics and EMTs go through. And so all are receiving training on hands-on on childbirth, orienting to our new cardiac monitors, which are coming, as well as our new narcotic tracking program. So all big accomplishments by Chief Law and her division. Also, the related to the cardiac monitors. So we did take delivery of those 90 monitors, which were part of the AFG grant. And with that, it's exciting for us to be able to update that technology. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of work that's going into that to make sure it integrates with all the software and everything that those machines work with. So again, Chief Law and her staff are working diligently to make that happen and make the transition out to the line. So we have the latest and best equipment out there. And last but not least is our CERT program. Members of our CERT program serving the district and helping any way they can. And in the month of February, our CERT members donated 252 hours of their time to support Metro Fire. That's the end of my report. Do you have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
When is Academy graduation scheduled for?
The Academy graduates July 1st.
And where will that be held?
I'll get back to you, Director White. I don't have the exact location yet.
No problem. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Up next is Local 522 report. And tonight we have Trevor Jameson.
Directors, Chief Arms, Trevor Jameson, Local 522. It's great to be here. Haven't been in front of you in a really long time, but it's great to see a lot of friendly faces, people that I know very well and have gotten to know very well, and I consider friends. I've been asked to be here tonight by Vice President Cole. He's away, taking care of some family needs, so it's an honor to be here. First and foremost, I want to talk about, I'm very aware that there was some questions about budget deficits that's going on in this agency. And these things happen. We're aware these things happen and we work through them. 522 is committed to working together with the district to find solutions. We have our own accountant. We're looking at things. And as we move forward in the process of negotiations and moving forward, we will want to be a partner in that. We want to help find solutions. So I just want to let the board of directors know, the fire chief know that we're there to help. Speaking of service delivery, it's nice to hear what's going on. It's undeniable in the fire service that there's a demographic shift. Things have changed. One of the worst things we like to hear, I'm considered an old person in the firehouse now, but I feel like I'm middle of my career. But we don't like to hear like, well, when I was on the ambulance or when I did this or when I did that. Things are changing. We're hiring different people. There's different expectations. There's different challenges out in the field. There's the wall time piece. There's more. The public expects more out of us, and we're busier. So I think it's super important that we look at how we do business. And I think the voices that come from the membership on the line are key. And we're having conversations from my position. We're talking to the county. We're talking to the state. We have 8 units that are part of 522. Everyone's got different challenges. And if we don't look at it and we don't change and we don't move forward, then we're not doing our jobs. The wall time piece is huge. We all know we do transport, we're in the EMS business. But for a firefighter or anybody on an ambulance to get to the hospital, have to wait for hours on end to unload a patient, it's not right. And there's got to be solutions. I'm fortunate enough to still get to be on the ambulance. I was on the ambulance just on Monday, Medic 51. I went to Kaiser South 3 times. I was able to offload 3 patients to a wall medic. I was spent about 15 minutes in the hospital each time. What does that mean? One, we're back out on the street delivering service to the public. And I'm not racking my brain trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of there. So it's a win for everybody. And I think those are the things we're talking about with, as Chief Arms alluded to, with the county at the state level. 522 is very involved in that. We met with every county board of supervisor to let them know, you guys maybe don't have one fire department at the airport. That's, but you have say in EMS. So we need your help. We need your help at the state. So that's very important to us. And having the partnership with the department and with 522 members speaking up is going to be great. If you have any questions about that going forward, like I said, 522 is fully committed on all levels to supporting this and finding ways, whether it be recruiting people, looking at different jobs, different things that are going to go on as we move forward. We are all in on that. So we appreciate your support. And we appreciate the fire chief's support on the service delivery as well, and the work that John Rudnicki's doing there as well. And then finally, the training center piece we're talking about, the Zinfandel. Local 522 CPF is fully committed trying to see this through. There's always a lot of talk of regional differences, departments maybe, I guess, challenges and making sure everyone's taken care of. But let me be frank. At 522, we take care of everybody. Everybody if there's opportunities, we go after them. At Metro, we were looking at getting a training center. Up in Lincoln, we're fighting to get 3 people on a fire engine. So this is what's happening at Metro right now. We're here to support that. The executive board of 522 supports it. And so this is what's good for the membership. And if right now it's Metro and that it does help everybody throughout the region, then we're going to support that. But we are going to look for opportunities where we can utilize our abilities as 522 to enhance our members' jobs, service, and everything's expected of us today as firefighters and what the public expects, which we all know it's just about everything, right? Doesn't matter if it's a fire, medical aid, getting a cat out of a tree, picking up somebody's grandma off the floor in the middle of the night. We want to be able to do that in a way that we're highly trained, very proficient, And I know you guys all get that, but I want to say that in the public. So, and then finally, I just want to say we have a couple members who are leaving and want to congratulate them and wish them off in their new assignments, new departments. Kevin Johnston, he's leaving to Hayward. He's been here for 5 years. Garrett LaSure is going to a department in Tahoe. I forgot which one. He's been here 3 years. So I appreciate all your support. I mean, many of you guys have served on this board for a very long time. Some of you since the very beginning. So everything you guys do is much appreciated. And thank you for the support going forward. If you have any questions, I'm all done.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you very much. Next up, committee and delegate reports. Executive committee, I have nothing to report. Next up, Communications Center JPA. Deputy Chief Wagaman.
Good evening, President Sailors, Directors, Chief Harms. I'll give you a quick update from the Comm Center JPA. We have not met since our last meeting, but I did want to provide you with a few updates as to what's going on at your regional dispatch center. First off, the CAD build team is still well on their way of bringing us a new CAD system. They're working very diligently. And I thought today would be a good day to identify the Metro Fire staff that have really stepped up to the plate to bring this new CAD to life for us. So I want to recognize Chief Farica, Steve Jordan, he's our radio shop manager, Captain Jason Butler, and Captain Ryan Gifford. So again, I think it speaks to the level of professionalism and the need for people to continue to influence and step up in this organization so we can see these things come to life. And again, we could not do them ourselves. So we appreciate the assistance from these four. Also, when I was at the dispatch center just about a year and a half ago, one of the technologies that we looked at was called automatic voice dispatch, as well as automatic call distribution. The very fortunate news that I have for you today is both of those software programs have been implemented, the last being automatic call distribution just yesterday. And what that technology does is it identifies the call takers, how many calls that they've received, how long they've been on the phone, and it distributes the workload evenly to ensure that there's a shared load. It also knows other dispatch positions like command radio operator, as well as the main dispatcher and supervisor. So if a supervisor's phone rings in their ear, they'll know that the main dispatcher, the command radio operator, and all the call takers are currently taking calls at that time. So they would be the last one to pick up that phone line. So gone are the days that a phone rings in the background and somebody's just waiting for somebody else to pick it up. It automatically goes to a person. Each call is assigned. And what we hope to see is it's going to speed up the call taking process. And I have no doubt that we can shave seconds off. And in this line of work, seconds makes a big, big difference. So I hope to report out here in the near future what that new technology is doing for your dispatch center. The next item is yesterday, they launched their recruitment for administrative manager. And this is somewhat of a reorganization. We've gone away from the deputy director position. So we now have a operations manager as well as an administrative manager. So the administrative manager went internal and external. And we hope to get that position filled here in the very near future. That concludes my report. Unless you have any questions for me, we're going to meet again on April 12th at 9 o'clock here at the Metro Fire Board Chambers. And it's great to see all of you back at your diocese.
Thank you.
Thank
Does
you.
anyone have any questions? Thank you very much. Next up is California Fire and Rescue Training, JPA, Chief Harms.
Directors, we last met on March 16th. Classes are continuing over there and will conclude on the April 30th. At this time, revenue continues to exceed expenses as we move forward through the last 30 days of the JPA. At our first meeting in April, John Lavra will bring forward the contract for dissolution to the board for your consideration. John has been working with the other attorneys really over the last 6 months on being able to clean up all of the final items for being able to move forward with the solution. Any questions or comments for me?
Any questions, comments from the board? I see none. Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Next up, Finance and Audit Committee, Director Rosali.
Finance and Audit Committee has not met, and the next meeting is yet to be determined. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Rosali. Up next is the Policy Committee. Per Director Gold, he says he has no report tonight. Next up, board member questions and comments, and we will start with Director Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. Wonderful to hear and receive my challenge coin from the Fire Mechanics Academy. Thank you very much. I'll go get some wrenches and see what I can do with this thing. Thank you very much, Chief. Looking forward to to hearing all the inputs from the field, and I appreciate Assistant Chief Rudnicki and Firefighter Gildoni for bringing this forward. And I'm looking forward to a lot of the information that will eventually be passed on. And I would encourage everyone to participate. Good faith effort, be thorough, be true, and we'll welcome all kinds of good, positive, potential ideas. Thank you very much. And you know what? I really appreciate the notice about the hours for the CERTs, for the Community Emergency Response Teams. That's great to hear, and that is a volunteer aspect. We're a big organization, but it is an aspect that helps out in so many local community events. And I really appreciate hearing about that. It's really good for us to keep our awareness going of the community participation level that the CERT team has. Let's see, Chief mentioned that we had a county 2x2 meeting. I'll pass that handle over to Director White for other things that I can't always remember everything. But the big point is that we have a collegial, professional, and collaborative approach to all kinds of issues and problems that confront Metro as well as the county moving on up to the state level. And that is the value. That is the value of our 2x2s. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Director Jones. Next up, Director Kelly.
Good evening. I wanted to thank the gentleman that provided the service of delivery report or presentation, and like to congratulate Mr. O'Toole, and hopefully he has a good time on the Treasury Oversight Committee at Sac County. Thank you. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you, Director Kelly. Next up, Director Sheets.
No comment tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sheets. Director Wood.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Like Director Jones said, we did participate in the 2x2, and it was very productive getting the chance to meet with our supervisors and county executive once again, and appreciate all the time that they put into it. Thank you to Art and Melissa for getting us back up here. This is quite an exciting thing after being away for 2 years. So thank you for all your time and effort. And Firefighter Gildoni and Chief Rudnicki, thank you for that presentation. I've heard about this when I've been out in the houses, and it's very good to see an organized way of bringing all this information that gets talked about in the various houses to hopefully a way to get something done out of it. So thanks for your time and effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wood. Director Rosali.
I had the opportunity to meet with Representative 522 this week. We had a great conversation about their organization and about their vision for Metro Fire in the future, and some of the challenges that we have going forward. And I congratulate their new leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Rosali. Director Gould is unable to speak tonight. We wish him to fast healing. Director White.
Thank you, President Sailors. I also want to congratulate the California Fire Mechanics Academy for once again providing some extremely valuable training, as our mechanics like to say. Without them, you guys would be walking. So, but 50 years is a pretty significant milestone, and having spent time out there, and I know that they run a very professional operation and that a lot of valuable learning takes place. So I want to thank them for that. Glad to hear about the state wall medics and the impact it's having. A little concerned about that running out and the impact that might have of not having them. So I'm hoping we can continue to work towards strategies that make a difference. We're going to take a moment of silence at the end for Kyle Rutherford, so I'll just leave that. But I appreciate 522 for mentioning they're willing to work with the district on budget issues or just about anything. And I also appreciate the service delivery members for, really engaging in a participative style of management and providing input from those that are most impacted by change, because I think that's a very healthy way to, that sharing of information is a very healthy way to resolve issues and move forward together. So thank you for that. And I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Director White. Director Clark.
Yes, I am very happy to hear from 522 about the commitment to work with the district. That is very important. It's extremely important, and we need to work together to service the community. Everything else has been said. I'm just happy to see us back up on the dais in the flesh. It's been a while, so that's all I have with that, Chair.
Thank you, Director Clark. I would just like to thank everyone for being here tonight and for the great presentations. And since my voice is starting to leave, I'm going to say, let's have that moment of silence in memory of Kyle Rutherford. Thank you very much. We will now go to closed session. You can go ahead and report out.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. We are back from closed session. I see Matt Kelly has joined us. Director Gould let me know he will not be coming back. The board met in closed session pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection A. The first item was the matter of Lindy Thomas. The board voted unanimously to give the district third-party administrator settlement authority. The second item was Mark Thompson. The board also voted unanimously to give the district's third-party administrator settlement authority. The board also met in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection A, matter of industrial disability retirement for David W. Burnett III. No formal action was taken, and that is action item number 3 this evening. The board also met in closed session regarding public employee performance evaluation for the board clerk. No reportable action was taken.
Madam Clerk, I do believe that I'll take a motion on the David Burnett item.
Madam Chair, I so move.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please, on the David Burnett item.
Director Gould is absent. Moving to Director Orzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. I think we have a wrap. I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.
Everyone have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Have a good night, everybody.